Okay. Hi guys. With finals coming up and a whole bunch of other crap that I have to do, I thought it'd be a good idea to procrastinate and do a really quick little review of a book I've read about 20 million times, The House of Hades. Before I start, I would like to say this much. First of all, this is a laptop camera, and it sucks. I'm aware of that, but my handheld camera is even worse, so deal with it. Second, Nico D'Angelo is my love in my life, so expect Nico D'Angelo love forever, because you're not going to find any hate here. Just saying. Okay, to start, I really liked it. It was fantastic in every single way. Riordan did a really good job of showing how, like, the team, which had been working cohesively together, was slowly starting to fall apart. Hazel, I love her. She is fantastic in every single way. I love her. Her horse, Arion, she and her horse Arion, and how they go to see Hecate, and she's like, I'm going to choose my own fate, and I'm choosing my own path. I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. I also really love her interaction with Nico, too, because she's so, like, concerned about him, like, and she just, like, he's an awkward teenage boy, essentially, with the social skills of... He doesn't have any social skills. So I like how like, when she and Frank and Nico go on that quest to find the weird grain god and give him back his book, she's like kind of encouraging Frank to talk to Nico because he knows Nico has like no experience with people. So I thought that was fun and nice. And I also really liked the Persebeth in this book. I mean, Persebeth was great, and I loved how it wasn't like it wasn't focused on Persebeth. It was focused on them getting out of Tartarus. I mean, they have their little lovey-dovey moments, but most of the time they're just kind of like, alright, let's go, we gotta get out of this crap. We gotta get out of Tartarus, get to the doors of death, help our friends. And then Bob shows up, and Bob is all like, I'm Bob, and he has like his small Bob, and he's so cute and adorable, and I'm just like, perfect. I know there were a lot of people online who didn't know who Bob was. I know one of my personal friends had no idea who Bob was because I never read the Demigod files. I don't have it with me because that said friend is borrowing it, but it is a little tiny book. It's blue, and it has that story in it, and it has a couple other stories that don't really make a reappearance, but One with Bob is one of the most important, I think, with this book at the very least. So if you haven't read it, you should do that so it makes more sense. Let's see, the point of view we get after Hazel is Annabeth, and she's talking about how she fell for 9 days, and she was holding Percy this whole time, like, pondering things, and I love how she finally says, I love you. And it's not the first time she said it in the Heroes of Olympus series, she actually said it in Mark of Athena, too, when Percy, like, when she drops her knife in the lake or whatever it was, and he like comes out and he's like, you dropped this, and she's like, I love you. So it wasn't the first time, but apparently this is the only time the fandom counts because she's in verge of death, so the declarations of love matter more, I guess, when you're about to die. I don't know. And I love how old villains kept coming back, like Kelly comes back, and then like when the REI, the curses come in, and like they're cursing Percy. It's all of his old enemies bringing down curses upon them, and I liked like Calypso's curse. I would have felt that way too if I were Calypso. Like, you abandoned me, you jerk, and like all angry, and then Annabeth goes blind because of this Cyclops she kills, like, way earlier or something. I don't really remember, because the only books I've reread recently have been the Titan's Curse on up through, and I haven't read Sea of Monsters in a long time, but I remember that, sort of. Love Leo. He's beautiful, he's perfect, he's cute little curly hair, and he's like, oh, he thinks so little of himself. But everybody, like, at least in my heart, I love him because he's so funny and he's so great, and I want to date a guy like Leo. I mean, I love the happiness that he projects, even though he's like dying inside. Like his life is basically sucked, but he still like puts on that cheerful, smiley face, and he like makes everyone laugh, and he makes everybody happy, and I just love it. Like little mini quest to go chase after those dwarves to get all their stuff back after Piper and the coach get like tangled up by dwarves, and Nico's knocked out because he hit his head, and Hazel's just like, I'll take care of him, and whatever. And I just love that because Leo just takes over. He takes charge. Like, Jason tries this whole lightning thing, and he's caught in a trap, and Leo's just like, I've got this. And he defeats the dwarves on his own, and Jason comes in with his like old Peter Pan explosion awesomeness, and Leo's just like, nah dude, I got this. Got nothing to worry about here. And then I feel like Jason in this book is like useless, but not really, you know? Because he's still Jason, he's still the son of Jupiter, and he still does cool things, and he's still Jason, and everybody knows and loves, but I feel like Leo stood out a little bit more because he finally, like, he doesn't feel as under the pressure, I guess, of being, like, his best friend being the son of Jupiter. I mean, okay, and Nico says it. Like, he says, easy for you to say, you're everybody's golden boy, the son of Jupiter. And that's true. Jason is the golden boy. I mean, Talia kind of got it too, a little bit, because she's the daughter of Zeus, and you're expected to be something so great. And Jason's, like, not. Because he's changed so much. Like, he says he doesn't feel like his time in Camp Jupiter was, like, real. He feels like Camp Half-Blood was better. And I like the fact that he's, like, becoming more Greek. Like, Percy's, like, getting all these sort of Roman ideas in his head, and he's becoming a little bit more Roman. And then Jason's, like, he's becoming more rugged. He's becoming, like, I think Riordan said leather. Like, he's becoming more comfortable version of himself. And I like that. Because he's not doing the crazy awesome things, he's becoming him as a character, and I love that. And I also love, like, all these characters feel like they're, like, the odd man out. And Jason, like, I know when Piper, Jason, and Leo are talking about, like, who's going to destroy the world, who's going to destroy Gaia, Storm or Fire, and, like, I feel like Jason's all like, yeah, this is great, and then they, like, think about it, and they're like, oh, one of us might die, or most likely gonna die, and he's all, like, sad, because he doesn't want to lose anybody, even, like, these Camp Half-Blood kids that should be his enemy, but they're not, you know? Then there's Frank. I love Frank. Frank makes me happy, and I love how he feels like he's not good enough, like, all the time. He's just like, I'm not good enough, I'm not, you know, I'm the odd man out, or whatever, which is how Leo feels, because he's the seventh wheel, or whatever. But I loved, like, when he takes on, like, the blessing of Ares, like, it's, like, or Mars, sorry, he's the son of Mars, like, he's come upon him when he glows red, like Clarice did in The Last Olympian, and he fights through all of those, cattle blobs, or whatever they are, the monsters, and he kills, like, all of them, and he becomes, like, stronger. Like, the transformations make him physically better. Like, he's like a football player, and he's not gorgeous, but he's, like, a better version of himself. And I like how he, like, doesn't change despite that. Like, something about him has changed, like, physically and a little bit mentally, because he's more comfortable, but he's still, like, that shy, awkward kid who's afraid of fire. I mean, that's just how Frank is, and I like how Hazel's like, he's still my Frank, even though he's changed so much. And I also love how totally unimpressed with him Nico is. Like, right after he wakes up and he's like, has his whole, like, had the weirdest dream about a corn plant, and he's like, why are you taller? And Frank's just kind of like, oh yeah, I just had to destroy all the ones in the city, whatever. And like the first thing Nico does is like, oh yeah, there must have been like 6 or 7 left in the herd. And Frank's like, no, I destroyed all of them. And then they have sort of like then they sort of go silent, or like an awe. I don't. I love Percy. He's always been one of my favorites because I've been reading the books since like they first came out. But he is precious to me, and I love how like he's like the Percy Beth moments are great too, obviously. The part where he's controlling the poison, actually, because it's really creepy and it's weird, and it reminds me of the episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender when Katara is taught how to bloodbend. It's like the same kind of basic thing. As Percy is controlling this element that isn't really meant to be controlled, and he's like trying to destroy. It's not. Yeah, Night. Because they're trying to get the Death Mist. He's like destroying her, and Annabeth's like terrified, and he has this all newfound power, and he's terrified. And I love how like this darker side of him comes out a little bit after that, because Tartarus is like changing him, like the same way it kind of changed Nico. But Nico saw the Tartarus for what it really was, whereas Percy only saw that part for like a glimpse as he was dying. So I don't know. And I also loved how he thought about all the people he's wronged in his life while he was in Tartarus, and it's mostly like Nico and Bob. Like he left them alone with Hades, and he's like probably the worst friend ever to them because he doesn't even think about them half the time. They're just there when he needs them, and then he just whatever. And I like how he thinks about that, because it shows a little bit like about Percy himself, because he's loyal, he's true to his friends, and he loves his friends, and it's just the idea that he actually forgot about them, mostly Bob, but Nico too, like, kind of upsets him, and I feel like he has some sort of determination to change that, even though it wasn't explicitly stated. Like, I feel like he has that in his mind now. I don't know. And then Hay and Annabeth, like, their relationship is so different in this book. I mean, because they're like, because of all that stuff, they learned so much about each other. Because they're for the first time, it's just them two together. He's not anybody else. I mean, Bob is there, but the reader, like, you see them interact, and Annabeth is scared, and they're relying on each other for support. And I love it because there's like there's no more of that witty banter. Like there is a little bit, but for the most part, that's all gone because they're in a serious relationship now. So like witty banter is more like flirting, and it is like the awkwardness that they were when they were like 12, and they've aged and changed so much, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.